Welcome back. Hello world, welcome back. So this is probably a little bit of a strange video, and admittedly it's more for me than for you guys, but I thought that I would talk a little bit about my editing style. I'm just wondering why it looks so dark when I literally just slept. But I thought I would talk a bit about my current editing style because I'm curious to see how long it takes to change and how it will change. And I'm also kind of curious if this is standard or what, because I did take two formal editing classes. I took one formal editing class, but technically it was editing two. I don't know, it was kind of weird how it was set up, and I took one that was sort of a design class where I ended up editing, and pretty much all of my art classes I ended up video editing for. When I had no previous experience editing before, and to be honest, my editing class was not that great. He sort of expected everyone to know how to edit already, and I had no clue. And for reference, I have been doing video editing for around a year and a half now, maybe 2 years? I don't know, math is hard sometimes. But what I do to edit my tutorial videos, because I'm making really two sorts of videos right now, and they have two different sorts of styles. So for my tutorial videos right now, it's sort of in the way of filming. So I will film the current instruction that I want to do and a little bit of how to do it, and then stop recording. And then I will start recording again once I've finished that step and go on to the next one. So editing is more so gluing the pieces together than actually cutting things out. And that's just sort of how I do it. For the first one, I did not really stop editing as much, which was a mistake that I learned. And I am absolutely still learning. I have not done a ton of editing in the last 2 years. I just, first off, didn't really have access to editing programs, which was a huge reason why I nearly failed the class and technically probably should have. Thanks for butting in, Tigger. But when I do my survival episodes, which is in the world that we're in right now, I'm currently working on a subway. There's a city above us. I didn't want to break that block. So for my survival episodes, what I'm currently doing, because I'm very behind on editing, again, I don't really edit that much. In the last couple days, I've started to fall in love with it again, and I'll go through bits where I'm like, okay, I gotta edit, or whatever, but right now I'm like, dang, I really want to edit, because I'm really starting to see that progress, whereas before it was just like, this is okay, I don't really think that I can do any better. I'm not exactly happy with it, but now the main issue is just that it was so long ago that I've recorded it, that there are things that I would change about the recording itself. Me saying or going off on tangents and things, and I think this video will be a bit more coherent than a lot of those, simply because I've recorded this a lot later than some of the other ones, a couple of weeks probably, than some of my survival episodes that are currently out or coming out soon around this time. Probably up to episode 6 or 7 is recorded right now. Only, I believe, episode 3 is out so far. So, yeah, I haven't done a ton of editing for it, but I sort of have a way that I do it. And how I do it is I go through, and at least at this point, again, the very first video was different, and it's going to change as the recording date gets closer to the editing, so those two skills sort of match up a little bit closer, rather than not so much now, and also that I could possibly re-record things if I absolutely need to, whereas like there was a thing that I wanted to add in the third video, which ended up being in the fourth, which was that I wanted to have you guys decide on some of the names for things. And I had to sort of hide that I was much later, even though not very successfully, because I was showing a map that had obviously been very different than the video. So it's kind of fragmented and weird. But what I do is I go through and I will add a clip. I typically have, when I record, I'm typically like, okay, this is sort of where I want to end the video. But sometimes, like with episode 3, I was way off. And that episode is super long. And most of episode 4 was supposed to be part of episode 3. I ended up just having to, like, cut episode 3 in half. So sometimes I am way off. But I typically know what clip I want to end it on. And again, I'm going to get better with that as recording gets closer to editing dates. But I will typically record and sort of know where I want it to end, and then go in and add one clip, and then edit that down, take out some of the ums and the pauses and the huge tangents that I go off on, or sometimes I stumble through my words and I cut some of that out. And when I'm walking back and forth and those sort of things, and get it down to the content, and keep adding clips until it gets to around 25 to 30 minutes, depending on how many tangents I went off on. So what I'm currently editing right now is the 4th episode, and I know that I mumbled and talked through a lot of that. So I have about 30 minutes of footage right now. And so what I do after that is I go through and I simply go through again, get rid of any of the extra ums that I may have left that I was worried would cut off words or something, and sort of feel out the pacing. So if something feels really slow, I will cut that out and then just keep going and try and get the pacing to where I want it, which is probably the newest part that I added, because normally I would just go on to the 3rd time that I watch through all the footage, which I will full screen it in the editing and just sit there and watch it, and if I need to, I will pause it and make typically minor changes. I typically don't cut out anything huge. It's like, oh, there's an there, or this pause is too long, or I forgot to add a photo here, or whatever it is. And if there's something major that I end up changing, I will go back and rewatch it again. So some episodes I watch 4 or 5 times before they go up on YouTube. And then I export it and upload it, and I honestly don't always watch it after that, because it feels like it's untouchable. Not so much with this laptop, because it doesn't take quite as long to export, whereas my last laptop, it could take 2 hours to export a 10 or 20 minute video, which is kind of crazy. It typically takes about 10 minutes on this laptop, which is a huge difference. For around a 10 to 15 minute video, it's around 10 or 15 minutes. It's really crazy and pretty awesome. Sometimes it takes a little more than that, and I'm not bothered, especially with the huge difference. But that is how I edit, and I'm really curious how things will look in the future, and how I will edit, if things will change, if I will add more steps, or be able to reduce some steps. Like, I will be able to know what sort of pacing I need at the same time as when I'm doing the first edits and taking out the ums and the ahs and stuff. And I'm curious about how other Minecraft YouTubers do it, and what their sort of strategy is, and if I will be able to get more efficient, because I think watching my video 3 or 4 times before it is released may be a little much, but I'm not sure. I'm also thinking of venturing into sort of, I don't want to call them clip videos because that doesn't make sense, but sort of like I don't know what to say, but I kind of want to do either bloopers or things that I cut out. Like, I was thinking about a video just about me talking about my cats or my cats interrupting, because there are a couple of clips that I had to cut out from my single player survival world episode 3 that I really wanted to add, that I thought were kind of funny or whatever, but because the episode was so long, the pacing was kind of wonky. And so I decided not to include them, and I think that would be fun, or some bloopers, or something like that. But yeah, that is how I currently edit and do things right now. Maybe it will change in the future, and maybe a couple months from now I'll be like, wow, why did I edit like that? That was so dumb, or I can't believe how far I've come, or something. I'm not sure. Because my editing, it's not actually up here, but the first video that I ever really put up onto YouTube on my own, I did a couple of collab things before actually branching off on my own. But my first thing was my final for my video editing class, and it was sort of a train wreck. It wasn't a midterm, it was like 3/4 of the way through. I had done a video about Lyme disease, which is actually not up on my channel, and I was super disappointed in it. I got some B-roll footage for it, and then I was just going to talk over it, and I was sort of going to rant, because I'm pretty well educated on Lyme. It's been a huge passion of mine because I actually suffer from chronic Lyme disease, and it's really hard to get treatment, and so you have to be pretty educated in it to end up getting any sort of treatment, and Lyme disease will definitely be a recurring thing on my channel, because it's something that I'm very passionate about, and something that I think the world needs to hear more about, because it's kind of crazy. And so that video I never posted, and so I was planning to do a sort of redoing of that for my final, and what had happened was I had never gotten to film more B-roll, because the B-roll that I got was in Central Park, and while Central Park isn't that far from my dorm, I was not going to go there alone, especially as I wanted film at dusk, and none of my friends were able to go with me toward the end of the semester. And I was also planning on re-interviewing people that I'd interviewed before, because a couple of us hung out to edit our videos together for that project, and I had interviewed them for it, and again, it didn't come out well, and I wanted to retry, and that didn't end up working out either. And I procrastinated for so long because I did not know what I wanted to do, and was hoping that something would come to me, that I just ended up doing something that will sort of become a marker on my channel, and I will probably redo this video every so often. Did I run out of space? Oh my goodness. So it will probably become a marker, which is a how to crochet a granny square video. A granny square is something that is in crochet, which is something else that I'm quite passionate about, and what I wanted to start making YouTube videos on, which I probably won't do many videos on it because I'm not good at explaining, and I'm not quite that advanced of a crocheter, even though I've been crocheting for most of my life. I can't do it as much, it's not as accessible to me anymore, and I'm just not good at crochet videos, but I do want to see my progress in all sorts of things. So I have a really crappy video about how to crochet a granny square, and at my editing final, I had not watched it all the way through beforehand, and it did not end up well, because apparently the framing was different when it was exported, the audio files were different. I don't know what happened or how it could have happened, because things were in the frame in the final video that weren't in the frame when I filmed, and I don't know what sort of demon possessed my camera or what happened, but yeah, it was really crazy, and I was so embarrassed. I was like crying. Yeah, it was not great, and I'm not proud of it, but I may do a reacting to it video for my 1-year channel anniversary, which is February 1st, by the way. Not sure if you'll be seeing this before or after, or maybe this will be the anniversary video. Who knows? I was thinking about doing some reactions though. The other videos that are probably uncharacteristic of the rest of the videos are, I actually do have a video about Lyme disease on my channel, which was the last project for a art as an aid for social change and political reform, something like that. It was a class about art and politics, which is something that interests me and is sort of a huge deal to me. And because of the Lyme disease and me being an artist, and particularly a disabled artist. And so I had done my other projects. Oh my goodness. I had done my other projects about disability, and I had done this one specifically about Lyme, and it's up on my channel. It's called Actually Lyme Disease. It has a ton of dislikes, and I don't know why. But I really, really love that video. I think it came out pretty well. Granted, I haven't watched it in a while, but I quite liked it, and I'm sad that it got so many dislikes and no comments. There wasn't any sort of discussion. It was just, I dislike this, which I don't know why, and I've made jokes to my friends and stuff that the dislikes are all from a couple of people who are trying to get Lyme disease not counted as something on insurance. So it would, I believe, be insurance fraud considered, because Lyme disease isn't considered an actual thing. Chronic Lyme is not considered an actual thing in the US. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. So I was happy with that video. There's one video that may not be out on my channel. I hope it is, but it's, I think, my favorite project ever, which was the predecessor to the Lyme disease one. It's not about Lyme, it's about unsolicited advice that disabled people get. So the why don't you try yoga, and why don't you do this, and why don't you do that, which actually sort of makes it feel like disabled people are being blamed for their health being that way, which is sort of the psychological reason why people do those sort of things. But I wanted to show able-bodied people what it feels like, and so the video is just a bunch of audio files of me saying a bunch of things, and it actually makes me physically sick to hear it, which is sort of what I wanted, because it doesn't make other people physically sick to listen to. It's my autism. Oh my goodness. Oh no. How did you get here? So, I am also autistic, and that makes it hard for me to listen to that back. The only other art project I believe that's up on the channel. Oh my goodness, my cat is going crazy, but I'm just going to keep talking anyway. And also, this is the first time I've been able to record a clip over around 8 minutes long without my throat burning. And it doesn't feel great right now, but my voice isn't going incredibly deep. My ears aren't hurting and popping. It's great, which I'm probably going to pay for this tomorrow. But that's fine. I shouldn't be recording tomorrow anyway. Tomorrow's an editing day. Anyhow, the last project up on my channel is my friends and family's favorite, which is a diorama project that I made, where we were supposed to make a diorama of our space and then make a video about it. And I went super artsy, and I made this huge diorama that ended up filling up my whole dining room table, and I absolutely loved it, and I was so sad when I had to take it down. But it was a diorama of my house, and it's sort of about how technology can sort of take you different places, and so how technology has sort of connected us during quarantine, because this was a project done during quarantine, and it was supposed to be a diorama about your house and how you were living during the quarantine. And so it was really interesting to see everybody else's, but I really loved mine and the cinematography and things. And it probably would have been better if I had done it now, because I've gotten better at video making and whatnot. But I am still pretty proud of that, and that is also up on my channel. It's probably, I think it's called Diorama Project. It's not, it's nothing crazy, but I really do love it. I probably don't have a future in filmmaking or anything, but I do really like this YouTube thing, and I've wanted to do it since before you're allowed to have a YouTube channel. I think I was like 10 or 11 when I saw my first YouTube video, which was actually in school, and I was like, oh my goodness, that is so cool. I think it was Llamas with Hats, actually. But it was like recess, and the teacher would show us a bunch of YouTube videos, and I was like, I really like that, and I wanted to do it, but my parents were like, absolutely not. That was sort of the time where it was like, don't tell anyone on the internet anything, don't talk to anyone on the internet, don't go on the internet at all. And so I didn't really go on the internet at all, and I was not allowed to have a YouTube channel until after I turned 18. And I turned 18 around a year ago? Year and a quarter ago, actually. I can do math. And I had actually started a channel before that, but didn't upload any videos, and that was a collab with someone else. And then I started another channel shortly after I turned 18, and uploaded a couple of videos there, but we ended up getting too busy to do that, and realized that YouTube, the way that we were doing it, was really time consuming, because we, like, when you record with two people, it's a lot more footage than with one people, and it's one person, and it's a lot harder to cut things out and stuff, which is really fascinating how that works, but it's just different. And if you watch, like, a thing that I watch a lot is Hermitcraft, and so if you watch a person on their own versus a person with another hermit, it's drastically different, and I find it fascinating. But I did that, and that was put on hold shortly after we began, and I really wish that that would come back sometime. Why is this not going in? There we go. I really hope that that does come back someday, because we briefly talked about bringing it back, but we do not even live in the same state currently, so it's kind of hard. Yeah, that was bound to happen. But it's kind of hard right now to do that. So it's just me making videos. Maybe the person I collabed with will end up on this channel. I've been thinking about inviting him to do a collab with me. So yeah, that would be really cool. But I'm just excited for the future, and I've really loved making YouTube videos. I wish editing didn't take so much out of me. Like, typically, after the first time I look through all the footage and do those edits, I end up dizzy, and I, like, can't see straight because I'm so tired. And I have been having troubles falling asleep, and right now I just want to go to bed. And it's, well, I was gonna say it's an hour earlier than when I normally record, but not anymore. Or when I have been going to bed, not recording. I don't record at 2 in the morning. Whereas I used to go to bed around 11, which is very different, but yeah, I finished editing at like midnight, and I just wanted to go to bed. But then I was like, I want a snack, and then it led me to do a bunch of other different things. You, sir, scared me a bit. Yeah, this just keeps getting darker and darker, and I care less and less. But I have really enjoyed making this video, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. I might do more talky sort of videos in the future, especially to keep doing this project. And there's a zombie behind me, isn't there? No, there's not. Where is he? All the way over there. Oh my god. My cats are crazy. I think there might be a cave. Oh yeah, there's a cave down there. So that's probably where they are. But I think, as my cats hiss at each other for no apparent reason, I am going to end this video here. This is about 26 minutes of footage. I wonder how much will end up in the actual video. And there are so many things I'm curious about. I love statistics and things like that. So hopefully someday I will look back on this video and be like, wow, that's different. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna say. I don't know what future me is gonna be like. Hopefully they've written a book and done some cool fun stuff. I don't know. I forgot to bring the blocks, didn't I? Yep. I don't really care at this point. But yeah, that's sort of all I have to say for now. I am going to say bye right now. Bye, guys.